Hello everybody. Today we're doing a patio ceiling cutout. They had some water damage above, so they got us in here to cut out an area. We're going to cut out like a 4x4 section. Also, they have insulation on a patio. I don't know why they have it on a patio since it's outside. I asked the customer if they wanted to spend some extra money and just pull out and replace insulation, but the client declined this. They didn't want to pay the extra $75 for this. So that's why we left the insulation on here. Of course, you have insulation, you always want to replace it. This insulation isn't terrible. I think the water just came down the wood truss, so insulation's savable. It still looks dry, so you use your own discretion. If you do cut out an area and you think the insulation needs to replace it, just spend the extra money and just replace it. On this, we're just going to cut it out. I like to do small cutouts whenever I can. 2x2, 2x4. 4x4 is perfect because it's a half a sheet of sheetrock. So that way we just have to use a half a sheet. You could also take it out the full distance. It just depends on how much work you want to put into it, how much you want to pay. The customer here asked, literally, he says, I need an estimate on a 2x2 patch. He sends me a picture and I says, no, we're going to be cutting out at least a 4x4 minimum. And I says, if we go over 4x4, it's going to be this price. If we keep it under 4x4, it's going to be this price. So he opted in for a 4x4 replacement at the most. So that's what we give the customers, what they want to pay for. We always recommend replacing all the areas, but we give them options. It's not everybody's on the same budget here. So we give them a good deal here, get it all replaced. You're going to see on this that I'm going to cut out a 4x4 area. We're going to make sure it's cut center so we have something to screw to on each side. On this one, I'm going to actually cut out 6 more inches past the sheetrock. The reason we do 4x4 or whatever, because you buy the sheets, it comes in 4x8 sheets, 4x12s. So a 4-foot measurement is always good to go off of. On this, I'm going to take it 6 more inches, so I'm going to have to do a 6-inch rippers on the side that it cut out. I just scraped it at first, looks finishable, but is still drooping down pretty bad, so that's why I had to extend it out another 6 inches and use the other piece of sheetrock to fill in that 6-inch gap. But once we get it all secured, we're going to add plenty of screws. I'm going to go through and we're going to scrape everything. All the loose tape on the original patio, all the loose stuff. We want to just get everything scraped out. You're going to see on here that I use a spray glue. This spray glue is optional. I'm just doing that to spray it so I can tack my fiberglass mesh so it doesn't fall down. Since it's on a ceiling and old sheetrock, sometimes it doesn't like to stick. And I don't want to put the tape on and then I go mix my mud and the tape fell down because it didn't stick. So that's the only reason I use a spray glue. It's an optional product. It's just to tack the tape in place until I can get some mud on it. And if there was gaps in here, you would always want to pre-fill the gaps. Sometimes with this hot mudding technique, you can just strike in and you can get the mud pushed inside the mesh grooves. So it's like a striking it in, and then you turn around and coat it. On this, I'm coating with a hot mud, quick set mud, of course, because most of my jobs I have to finish in one trip. So that's why the only reason I use these quick set muds. If you're doing this project on your own, you just use an all-purpose joint compound. For first coat, you would just slightly thin it down out of the box. Always add a little bit of water and you got to mix it. I know the boxes say pre-mixed, ready to go, but you always want to give it a mix it up a little bit and just add a little bit of water. Every coat you do, you're going to have to add a little more water. First coat, just a little bit, like half a sponge of water. Maybe second coat, add another sponge of water, so on, so on. Each coat needs to be thinner than the previous coat. So that's basic rule of thumb when you're working with joint compounds. But on here, I'm using a hot mud. So we're going to get it all hot mud. Then we're going to turn around, slick it out. You always slick out hot muds, these 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 90 minutes. You always slick them out as they're setting up. You don't wait until after they set up. A lot of people think with hot muds, it's like joint compounds that you let them dry overnight and then you sand them. You never use a hot mud and walk away from a hot mud. If you're going to hot mud something, you're going to have to slick it out before you walk away from the job. It's not an easy sandable material. So that's why you use a slick out technique with these hot muds, because once they fully set up, they set up like a cement. And that's why they call it hot mud. It doesn't get hot, it just chemically sets. Once you add the water, activates it. Okay, 5 minute. Once the water's mixed in, mix it up good, it activates. You got 5 minute timer basically to work with that material. So 5 minutes I work with because I'm fast and get the mud on. Of course, most people like to use 20 or 40 minutes, so it gives them a little bit more time to work with the materials, get everything cleaned up before the mud sets up on them. But yeah, simple video like this, simple patch, 4x4 on a patio. Also, this patio, we have a what's called a skip trowel texture. That's a real common texture out here. I know depending on your area, you probably have a smooth texture or something else. The patching process is the same. First coat, second coat, if need be, third coat, and then your fourth coat would be just your texture, cosmetic texture. So if you had like a smooth texture, you just follow your fourth coat with a tight skim of regular joint compound and just leave it smooth. On here, the fourth coat process would basically be the skip trowel design that we're using an all-purpose joint compound and doing the skip trowel. It's a real heavy skip trowel, and this is a common texture out here, at least especially on these patios. But yeah, simple video like this. I also have other videos just like this, patching, stress cracks, easy do-it-yourself type jobs. This job right here, got it done in a few hours, in and out. But yeah, it needs to be done. Whenever you get some damage like this, just get it fixed right away. If you can't do it yourself, then just hire a professional. And I notice a lot of you guys that are watching this haven't subscribed yet. So go ahead and subscribe. It's free to do. Also, leave a comment, hit that like button. What that does is it gets my channel found on YouTube for other people like yourself that are looking how to do drywall repairs. So yeah, I greatly appreciate it if you do subscribe and like. Hey, and thanks for viewing.